All right, we are moving right along to Unit 5, which is on developmental psychology. This is Chapter 4 in your textbook, and it's on prenatal development. Make sure that you are taking down notes as we go. Anything that's bold is important. In this unit, we're going to cover physical development that humans go through, but also the cognitive, psychological, and moral development that all humans go through. Today's lecture, though, we're going to focus on prenatal development. So over time, we have gone through this very fragile development, starting from conception all the way until birth. There's a series of kind of developmental steps that have to go just right in order for a human to actually be born, in order for a baby to make it to the 40-week gestational period that humans have. So conception is when a sperm penetrates an egg, and at that point, rapid cell division will start to occur. You can consider this your most fortunate of moments because you are the fastest swimmer in the bunch. You can see in the picture there are hundreds of sperm that are swimming around the egg. Once the sperm has penetrated the egg, the egg, kind of has this blocking potential that happens. So once one sperm has penetrated the egg will block out all of the other sperm. Now, what you're looking at here is a woman's uterus, this pink part. When sperm are entered into the woman's uterus, they have a long journey that they have to make. So they go up into the woman's uterus. They have to go all the way through the fallopian tube where they are going to meet the egg. Once the sperm has penetrated the egg, it makes its way all the way back through a series of hours and days into the woman's uterus. And once that rapid division is occurring and that cell has gotten into the uterus of the woman, if it attaches to the uterine wall, you're going to have a positive pregnancy test. And again, this happens about 2 weeks after a woman has released the egg, which is known as ovulation. Now, within prenatal development, it's not quite called a baby right away. The first few days after a sperm has penetrated the egg, it is known as a zygote. And at 14 days, the zygote turns into an embryo, which you see here. All of the pictures I'm going to show you today have been blown up by microscopes and lenses, so they are much larger than what is actually happening and what you would see if you were to really look at a zygote or an embryo in the wound. So an embryo at 40 days and then 45, you can definitely see all of the developmental processes and the development that's occurring at that point in time. At 9 weeks, an embryo turns into a fetus. So you see the fetus on the left and then a larger infant in the wound on the right. At about 6 weeks after conception, the neural tube starts to form. This will eventually become the spinal cord, and it's very important that women take folic acid when they are pregnant because it aids in the development of the neural tube. Here's an embryo at 7 weeks. You can see definitely looking like a little baby at this point. Again, the pictures are blown up, so the size that we're actually talking about at 7 weeks is smaller than a green pea. However, the eyes have formed. There's a retina, there's a lens, the child has its own blood type, and the protective sac that the baby is in is actually called the yolk sac at this point. It's not yet the placenta. Here's an embryo in the amniotic sac. Again, this is protecting the baby in the wound. Here's an embryo at 8 weeks. Again, now you see the placenta. The placenta is what transfers all of the nutrients that the mother is taking in through the umbilical cord to the baby. At 8 weeks, the unborn child is about half an inch long, teeny, 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 tiny, but it is moving within the side of the wound. The toes will start to develop, and brain waves can be measured at this point in time. At 10 weeks, the heart is almost completely developed, and at 10 weeks is when most women have their first ultrasound. This is when the heartbeat would be able to be picked up on an ultrasound machine. The baby at 12 weeks has webbings over its fingers and toes, And at 12 weeks, the brain is fully formed. The child could feel pain at this point in time. It can suck its thumb, and if you notice, the head size is much larger compared to an adult. And that will continue on throughout the development of the individual. At 14 weeks, you've got the muscles that are lengthening. The mother at this point might soon feel her child kick. At 15 weeks, the fetus has taste buds, and it can actually taste what the mother is eating through that placenta and umbilical cord. And it can affect the way that the baby moves. So some women can't eat dairy when they're pregnant because it upsets their baby, or they can't eat meat because it upsets their baby. Again, that's traveling through the placenta. The fetus at 4 weeks, 4 months, which is about 16 weeks, the face is fully formed. You can see the eyes are formed, but they're not yet functional, so they are closed at that point in time. 16 weeks, the baby is about 5.5 inches tall, again, very small, but the child is definitely moving what's inside their womb. At 20 weeks, the child can recognize their mother's voice. It has fingernails and actually has fingerprints at this point in time. And this is when you would be able to find out if you were having a boy or a girl. At 5 months old, you've got sleep cycles that the baby is going through, and the baby actually goes through something called REM sleep, which is actually where we dream. So the baby at this point can have dreams. The body position is often still head up at this point, and if a baby were to be born, they would have about a 50% chance of surviving outside the womb. At 24 weeks, there's a downy substance that's covering the baby's face. It's also very waxy. It's called vernix. And the child is practicing breathing at this point by inhaling amniotic fluid into the developing lungs. At 30 weeks, the nourishment is transferred from the mother's blood through the placenta still, and if the mother ingests any toxins or anything that could be harmful, the baby is going to receive those too. 7 months, the room is getting very tight. Most babies at this point begin to have their head down in preparation for birth. 32 weeks, the fetus sleeps about 95% of the day. A lot of that sleep time is in REM sleep, and the baby has a 75% chance of surviving if born at this point. At 40 weeks is when most individuals have the labor. 38 to 42 is considered very normal. The average baby weighs about 7 pounds. So let's just go through this one more time. So prenatal development, zygote is from conception to 2 weeks, and embryo is from 2 weeks through 8 weeks. It becomes a fetus at 9 weeks. The placenta is what's connecting the fetus to the mother. It brings oxygen and nutrients, and it also takes away waste. There's a critical period in prenatal development, which is the time during development when influences have a major effect, and that's usually in the first trimester. So any type of harmful substance that's ingested during the first trimester can really affect the development of the baby at that point. A teratogen is something that can harm the fetus, so alcohol would be considered a teratogen. Smoking cigarettes, marijuana, any type of drugs can be considered teratogens. Even cold medicine, Advil, all of those things would be considered teratogens because they could potentially harm the embryo or fetus. Unfortunately, fecal alcohol syndrome is something that happens to children who have been born to mothers who have consumed alcohol during their pregnancy. And a lot of times these individuals suffer from facial deformities. They have pretty wide space between their eyes, a thin upper lip, a short nose, a smaller head, and unfortunately mental retardation could be caused from fetal alcohol syndrome. Now, one of the coolest things is that at birth, babies are born with reflexes, and one of the most one of the reflexes that have helped babies survive from an evolutionary perspective is the rooting reflex. So when a baby's face is brushed, it will turn towards its mother in order to look for a nibble, to look for food. That's the rooting. Also sucking, grasping, stepping, all of these are reflexes that the baby is born with, and it has helped humans survive from an evolutionary perspective. Now, I want to end this lecture by showing you some pretty cute baby videos, starting with this one.
I blow it? Does that scare you when mommy blows her nose? Yeah?
Okay, so pretty cute stuff. And there's one more. Maybe, if I can get it. Sorry guys, I thought I had this pulled up. Okay, so just wanted to show you that. Super cute stuff right there. If you have any questions about the online lecture, let me know. Biggest things that you need to know are just kind of the very general development process that humans go through after conception, know the reflexes, and we will begin to talk much more about these things tomorrow.